How are we all doing today? I'm a wee minute early. Give you a chance to get on board and for me to check it out live on Facebook and on YouTube. So it is. Good morning. And that's the notification telling me it's live on YouTube. So that's good. We're out, we're running. Good morning, folks. Give you a wee bit of time to get on board. Then we'll get this broadcast underway. I see Facebook been playing funny buggers again. The share ratio is running about the same, 270, 280. Last week it was up to 500. The viewing figures, which are normally about 2,500 a day, are doing though. You know, morning Hugh, morning Ali, morning Doc, morning Stuart, sorry, D-Doc, morning Stephen, Jim, sorry, morning Sandra, morning James, morning Lenny. Now you're starting to arrive now. I know a lot of you are not getting notifications on Facebook, folks. They just keep limiting what we can do, what we can reach. So do me a favour, let's give them a punch in the nose. Let's make these videos go out further. Just share for YouTube, share for Facebook, share across whatever platforms you're on. Give Nick Clegg a punch in the nose. You know. Morning from tropical Livingston. Hi Hugh. Hi Ellie. Hey Hammy. Maria. Doc will suffice. Thank you, Doc. Yeah, we're nearly there. My figures are nearly reading the right number for me to start. Alright. Anyway, so as I say, Facebook's giving me a hard time, folks. Give them a punch in the nose and share it across your social media platforms. Okay. Right, let's get this thing underway. Okay. This is the news review for the 10th of August 2022. Better known to you and me as yesterday. Alright. The Wednesday started with one team in the rags. And the exam results. Alright, now this one really bugged me. Now 78.9% of our young people taking National 5s, Hires and Advanced Hires passed with A to C grades, meaning the TAP grades, alright. Now, that was up 4% on the last real comparable year, but down 28% on 2022, a non-comparable year. So 4% increase in Scottish pupils getting top grades since 2019 isn't a bad thing, right? But the MSM immediately undermined the young people's achievements. The 21.1% still not achieving top marks is also no bad. You know, you've got to consider these kids' education has been interrupted a lot in the last 2 years. An awful lot. The last couple of years' figures have been inflated because of stupid algorithms, and in 1 year, and then in the other year it was ongoing assessment in classrooms. This is the first time that we'd like for sorry about that one, Lydia. This is the first time that there's been like for like exams, 2019, 2022. All right. So there's been a 4% increase in the amount of pupils getting top marks. 21.1% didn't make top marks. Doesn't mean they didn't grade well. Doesn't mean they can't do it again. These kids have had a lot of trouble in their education in the last couple of years. And to have the mainstream media undermine such a fantastic achievement, 78.9% of our children scoring credited marks, top marks. 78.9%. Geez, oh, that's brilliant. Especially after the couple of years of disruption to their education they've had. Now, the other part of that story was the attainment gap widened a wee bit again. That's no surprising. With the no education to blended learning, kids in poorer families, when the schools were shut, it was extended holidays, they weren't studying. I can assure you they weren't. Play Park was full every day. But even when it went to blended learning, a lot of these kids didn't have access to the internet, and they didn't have the sort of parents was going to sit down next to them and make them go on to their Teams meetings. Or you'd have kids that claimed they didn't know how to get into Teams. And if they had an internet connection. And most of their parents are working office jobs, so they're not home. So the kids were doing it grands or grandpas, and they didn't know how to get them into teams. So, of course, the attainment gap's widened a little. But we've also seen it in toddlers. The report out the other day, I reported on it, about children, toddlers, and young children, speech development not coming along properly because they hadn't been socialised for a number of years. So it's went right across the scale here. So for our kids to achieve so high a pass rate, top pass rate, is amazing. Absolutely amazing. We had a couple of years. But our mainstream media, Scotland bad, Scotland shite, Scotland education system crap. That's what we're getting. And our children's achievements of 24 hours earlier were belittled in the British nationalist press. That's what the BBC and the Britnat press does for us. Tells us we're shite repeatedly. Now that was a wonderful achievement by our children. And to have them sit down at their tea at night and hear on the television and see in the newspapers that their achievements were nothing is disgusting. So it is. All right. It's bloody depressing. But that's what the Britnat media in Scotland is. It's Scotland bad at everything. Our education system is wonderful, as we know. Right, moving on Wednesday. And it's been reported that previous successful small shops and takeaway owners are closing down due to spiralling energy costs. Also Wednesday, Martin Lewis, the consumer campaigner, tells the UK government to wake up, zombies. People need help. Now, I spoke with Mr. Morgan this morning. Now, I don't know if he's aware of this, but I'll tell you. How do you rate a fuel poverty in the UK? Well, if your fuel bills are more than 10% of your earnings, you're in fuel poverty. No, David had a look at the predicted prices of energy in January of £4,200, and what he discovered was that you would need to be people on £62,000 a year salaries, or a combined household income of £62,000 a year. After taxation, that will have a disposable income of £42,000 roughly, give or take a few hundred quid. Right? At £4,200, that's 10% of somebody's £42,000 take-home pay. So somebody on a £62,000 salary will find themselves in January living in what's called fuel poverty, where a tenth of their income, disposable income, goes on paying for energy costs. Wow. Mental. Now, if you're a pensioner in the UK with a state pension hovering around about 11 grand, wow. That's 40% of your income away paying for energy. You haven't paid your rent or bought food. It's not sustainable. It just isn't. So the government's got to step in. Also Wednesday, they're starting to talk about power cuts and deliberately cutting off energy in the winter. Power cuts. We're 97% powered by renewables. We shouldn't see any power cuts unless we get bad weather. Wow. That's nuts. One thing we do know about Scotland in the winter is the bloody wind blows and it rains. That means the hydro system's working fantastically well as well. Mental. Going to be power cuts. If Scotland ends up with power cuts, we can see that energy is being diverted directly to England or to Northern Ireland, the base of interconnectors from Scotland. We'll got this stuff up on the national grid. Spoke about it before. Alright. Also Wednesday, the loony right-wing rags, the Mail and the Express, swing in behind Liz Truss and the race for number 10. Okay. 160,000 right-wing nuts from the English Nationalist Party will determine which crook will head up the rogue state which the UK is. Alright, so moving on, Monday. about 10 a.m. and the UK government put their case for denying Scottish democracy to the Supreme Court. Their argument is Scotland's future is reserved to the Westminster Parliament. They also claim the Treaty of Union and the Union of Scotland of England is also reserved to the Westminster Parliament. Well, as far as I can see, that simplifies things. That's back to Thatcher and a majority of pro-independence MPs. Never mind their bollocks about X amount of the vote, X amount of this, X amount of that. If it's reserved to Westminster, then the route to independence is to vote for SNP MPs, have them go down there, convene the Scottish Grand Committee, suspend the Treaty of Union, come up this road, hold a constitutional convention, have it ratified by all the electoral officials in Scotland. That includes councillors, MSPs and the MPs, and we've got the majority of them all. Job's a good one. Simple as that. If Westminster want to claim it's reserved to MPs in the Westminster Parliament, then convene the Scottish Grand Committee, do what Robin Cook did, and then come up the road and we'll sort it out from there. Right, moving on. Wednesday, UK Defence Secretary, was it Brandon? No, it's not Brandon Lewis. It was Ben Wallace. He says he's sending more weapons to Ukraine. 3 guided missile launchers and a wee of ammo, apparently. People here are going to starve and freeze, but the magic money tree is still working for war. The Russian war on Ukraine goes on. Somebody's making lots of money for the bloodshed. Unbelievable. What's it going to take to stop this bloody mess? Is there any adults in the room that can sit them down together and have a chat? There must be something that NATO and the Soviet, well, it's not the Soviet bloc anyway, it's Russian pact, can sit down and sort this one out. Russia's worried about NATO's infringement along its eastern border, rightly so. We'll get the same thing going on in China Sea. You know, just sit down and say, right, we'll just get back to our own troops and our own lands, we'll all live peacefully. And then maybe we should elect some politicians that can be grown-ups and have the heart of the people and the welfare of the people at heart, rather than protecting their own. Taking what's others. That's what empires are built on. We're supposed to be getting away from empires. I mean, Scotland's one of the last colonies, for Christ's sake. So, right, moving on. Wednesday, back here in Scotland, the GMB and the Unite Union tells the press and the people that 1,500 refuse collectors across Scotland will go on strike action from week starting the 24th of October. Edinburgh refuse collectors will be on strike a week earlier to have maximum impact during the festival, to try and bring the Edinburgh Council to the table to make a better offer. Now, the Scottish Government has provided a one-off extra 140 million to the councils via COSLA to improve on the 2% offer. Now, as we know, it will be a one-off payment because the Scottish Government had to take it out of their budgets to fire it to the councils to try and settle this dispute. Now, I've said this repeatedly, and Swinney's been saying it lately on. He's the interim finance secretary. Scotland's budget is shrinking. Westminster is hacking it. It's doing 5% this year in real terms. It'll be doing 2% next year in real terms, and for the next 5 years going on. So by the end of the 6 years, the Scottish budget will have shrunk by 15%. Get that wrapped into your heads, folks. That's the price of devolution. That's the price of not having your own central bank, your own treasury. You've got somebody else setting your budget and making it illegal for you to borrow, even though they're borrowing against your assets. Your assets, oil, gas, water, hydro, wind power. They're borrowing against your assets. Don't forget to take all the revenues for whiskey and things like that as well. So, there will be cuts. Swanee says there's going to be cuts. So when you're negotiating, you deserve that massive pay rise. You're just not getting it. We don't have it in the budget. It's just not there. So look at each other and say, whose job's gone? Which services will be ditched when you're running that negotiating table? And be sensible. You want better workers' rights? You want better pay? Independence is the route for it. Anyway, as I say, the cuckoo's in the nest, and more concerningly, Westminster are claiming mismanagement, and they're coming for a devolution, and they're coming for our public services. So they are okay. And the first to go, Sunak's already hinted at it, will be the NHS and the education system. Now, the NHS, our superior NHS with its modernised estate is an embarrassment to England, and it has to be run down the same way England's been run down and sold off. Remember, there's so much the NHS in there is taking over the private sector. You've got Virgin Health and people like that, you know what I mean? There's huge groups running GP services and things like that. Unbelievable. Right, now, our education system is embarrassing to them as well. Our children are slow off the mark. Yep, that's true. But by the time they hit the secondary system and they catch up very fast. We've just spoke about 78.9% passing national fives, hires and advanced hires in the top grade. Okay, and we have world-class universities which are tuition-free to Scottish students. We have a record number of young people from less well-off backgrounds attending university, all right. And on July 21st, 2021, Eurostats says Scotland is the highest educated population in Europe, with more people educated to graduate level than anywhere else in Europe, including England. Now, that's why the English politicians keep saying our education system's failing. They don't want the English people to realise it's their education system that's failing. And it's also been, and we're talking about elementary schools here and secondary schools. Waking up, people of England, your public service schools are being stolen from under your noses and being privatised. When you fail, when one of the council runs schools down there fail, they're forced into a trust, and then the transfer of public property to that trust happens. Right? The deeds of the school go with the school to be run by that trust. There's a massive transfer of public assets going on down that road. And it was set up with wee Govey. Their education system's being privatised and they're not even noticing it. And that's what they want to do here. An American style thing, where a syndicate of schools educates your people paid for by the central government. And you can bet your boots they want to turn a profit on it. That's what's going on down that road. They're calling them trusts and quangos anew, but you can bet your boots it's the stepping stone. And the massive transfer of public assets into these trusts down that road. Wow, that's theft in grand scale. Oof. Anyway, that's what's happening. They will be coming for education and they will be coming for our NHS. All right. That's the price of devolution. That's the price of voting no. It's called the internal market bill's no there for nothing, you know. They pay for education, the market needs levelled up, we have to pay for education. They've got a privatised NHS, the market needs levelled up. We all have to get our NHS to be privatised or not. And that'll go right across the public sectors here in Scotland, including the water companies. So, we have to go out of this bloody union. And that's another thing. And we'll speak, you know, what I didn't mention when we was covering the case, the UK's putting their case to the Supreme Court to say that the Constitution that doesn't exist is reserved, and that the Union of Scotland, the Union is reserved. What I forgot to mention was, in all of these reports, it said Sturgeon's referendum. That's deliberate, folks. That's to psychologically demonise Miss Sturgeon and make everybody think that it isn't the will of the Scottish people to have a referendum. It's just the will of the Scottish National Party and the will of Nicola Sturgeon, which is not true. That's not how it works. They put out a manifesto, and we read the manifestos. We vote for the party we think would be right for us. Having a referendum has been up there 4 times now. It's being ignored. Your democratic rights have been denied. And I see it night after night down that road. You see proper journalists questioning MPs on their rights to deny the people of Scotland a vote. And when they come away with their waffle, the proper reporters will say, hey, circumstances have changed. And democracy doesn't stop once you've had one election, stroke referendum. But it's quite deliberate, folks. It's to belittle the will of the Scottish people and undermine our democracy. Sturgeon's referendum. Anyway, where were we? Also Wednesday, this was quite funny. The First Minister rips a piss out of Liz Truss at a festival event. All right. But it comes to light that at COP26, this is brilliant, Liz Truss approached the First Minister to ask how she could get into Vogue magazine. The Vogue magazine had done a piece on the First Minister. I think it was when she was voted one of the 5 most influential women on the planet. I think she was something like she was number 5 and the Queen was 17. So Vogue ran a piece on Miss Sturgeon because she's striding this planet like a statesman, statesperson, and she's definitely a player on the world stage. No matter what everybody thinks, with the demonisation of our press here in Scotland, our international profile is massive. Absolutely massive. Anyway, apparently Liz Truss had asked her for advice on how to get into Vogue. And Liz Truss is the one in England shouting, attention seeker, attention seeker. No, it would appear that Truss was looking for attention at all. Brilliant. Right, moving on. Wednesday. And 10 more criminals in the criminal cabal throw their hat into Team Truss's ring. Somewhat Chris Skidmore and Junior Minister Damien Collins have switched from Team Sunak to Team Truss. Sunak's ally, Theresa Vilnius, says people will switch sides during the campaign. Truss is still a favourite with the Tory party members. So it doesn't look as if Sunak's getting anywhere near number 10, I keep saying, right call. Right, moving on. Wednesday. A non-entity and Scottish Tory branch office manager he pops his head above the parapet to say Scotland's ferries are shite and that the people on the islands are running short of food. Christ, one ferry goes down and you'd think the world had ended. CalMac will ensure food supplies get where they need to go. They'll just make sure that the lorries for the supermarkets get on the boats before everybody else, right? And so CalMac will make sure food supplies get where they need to be. And they wonder, rooted tank commanders think of returning to frontline politics. Dross really is a non-entity and a figure of ridicule. I mean, it's a delight watching the First Minister put him with his sword each week at First Minister's questions, and then she sends him after the naughty step to lick his wounds. If there's shortages in the shops, it'll not just be in the islands, folks. It'll be right across the UK. And it'll not be ferries that will be the problem. It'll be Brexit. Absolute Brexit. When will I be in vogue? You mental dunk. Oh, I'll stick that one up for you. It's just too funny. Oh, there you go. Here's Dunk's comment. Hey, when will you be in vogue? Love it, mate. Cheers. Hey, right, what else we got? Oh, aye, and that brings me to a meme I seen yesterday on the internet. Absolutely brilliant, and I think it just explains the thing perfectly. Right now, the meme was Blackadder speaking to Baldrick, and Blackadder says to Baldrick, "You had 27 trade deals worth 39 billion quid, and you scrapped them to get a 500 million trade deal with a country 10,000 miles away. What have we got, Baldrick?" And every time I seen that meme yesterday, underneath it, I was typing poorly educated population. Anybody that votes to shut a market of 450 million customers after himself are a bloody lunatic, especially free marketeers like the Tories. You said how the English people didn't realise they were being conned, or a third of the Scottish people didn't realise they were being conned, or a majority of the Welsh people didn't realise they were being conned. Wow. Stupid as stupid does. But, so-called free marketeers and the Tories shutting the market down. How's that? Wow, the education system down that road really has failed. They keep actually inflicting self-harm on themselves. And they're some sort of sadomasochists. Wow. But actually, the Brexit vote was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my fucking life. A free market economy wanting to shut itself off at its biggest market is just, it's gross stupidity. Absolute gross stupidity. And that's the real reason why we have to get away from these people. They keep making daft decisions. And I don't mean the English people. The social contract will always be there. Wonderful people, the English people. Always been generous, quick to respond to disaster. It's not the people. It's the leaders. And they, unfortunately, the people, I suppose we have to take it back, the people, they select their leaders. No, they don't actually. They're selected for a small few for them. And that includes Starmer. The last one that wasn't selected by a small few was Corbyn. That's why he had to go. Anyway. Okay, so Dross is on about ferries, and every time I see that meme, folks, I just put poorly educated population. Because anybody who votes in a free market economy to cut itself off for 450 million customers, it's just lunatics. They're just lacking in education. Okay, right, moving on Wednesday, and down that road, the private water utility companies are running out of water. Now, they want to build infrastructure to get water from Scotland to sell to the people of England. No surprises there, eh? These private water companies have been told for years to start fixing England's leaky infrastructure, otherwise they would run out of water, and that's what's happening. And they can't get it. I mean, the water courses are full of shite because these same companies were pumping raw sewage into them. So it's not a good situation down that road. Meanwhile, back here in Scotland, Scottish Water has spent 35% more per head per household than these private utility companies have done anywhere in England. Upgrading the infrastructure, upgrading the infrastructure thing like that here in Scotland. Absolutely brilliant. And we have better water hygiene standards. CPC that. And it's free. We only pay to get it into our houses. As we say, because it's publicly owned, they put the profits, which aren't any, really, back into the system. They haven't rose, and water rates haven't rose in years. Right. That's the stories I picked to like to talk about yesterday. No, there's no that one here or not. Also Wednesday, gun and knife rampage on Sky. One dead. I don't normally do crime reports, but that one caught my attention as did everybody else's, because that sort of thing doesn't happen outside urban areas very often. But we'll get Mary Rat and the rags, I suppose. Now, it's silly season down that road. They're beating the shit out of each other within the Tory party. The Labour Party, nobody knows what they're for again. That's how the state want it. They want it so people don't know what the Labour Party stand for. We can see it with the mess and the standoff between Starmer and the trade unions down that road. Labour MPs should be on the picket lines. They shouldn't be taking orders for Starmer to stay away. In fact, a Labour leader that doesn't get involved with trade unions is a Labour leader who's lost it. I mean, trade unions everywhere are talking about disaffiliating to the Labour Party. Starmer's a non-entity. Okay, let's have a wee look and see what the papers have got to say, shall we? Okay, let's have a look and see what we've got in the papers today. What Scotland shite stories are there today? Scotland's paper, Sky gun rampage and council workers set to strike. There you have it. Horror on Isle of Skye. Man dead, 3 seriously injured in rampage. Victims were shot and stabbed. Island in shock as man 39 is arrested. So that's a headline on that. What rag was that? The Scottish Daily Fail. The only rag the Express runs with. Highlands gun horror. Dad dead and 3 injured. Same story. The Press and Journal run with the same story. The Daily Telegraph goes, community shattered after Sky gun rampage and lack of housing for Ukraine refugees may force SNP to turn to British Army for help. What is this about? Last time I looked, like it or no, I'm still in this union. So if we need to turn to the assets we're paying for to give us some aid, then that's what we'll do. Don't even bother asking Westminster. Bypass them, just go straight to the Chief of Staff or the General Staff. Military's no really answerable to bloody Westminster anyway. It's a joint asset at this point in time. If they've got accommodation that could be used for these people, then the Scottish Government should be going to abandon it. And apparently, in the leadership race, Sunak dug his heels in to scupper Brexit reform, says ministers. There's just things weren't bad enough. So at least Sunak was trying to stop them getting worse. The Scotsman has waste and cleaning staff at 15 councils set to strike. The Metro has, it's as bad as COVID crisis, energy bill hell. And this is what I was talking about the small businesses. Their energy bills are hitting the flare and they're looking at it and saying this is not sustainable. We need to speak to our landlords, revoke their leases and give it a call it a day. And the Star has zombies at number 10. Night of the Living Dread. Money-saving champ Martin Lewis warns energy crisis is as serious as COVID epidemic. And he calls on our deadbeat politicians to get after backsides and do something. Interesting one, the Star. Not meant to leave back to last, but never mind. Hey, the eye has energy firms threatened with new windfall tax. Just tax them properly. The Herald tax, I mean, the oil and gas companies pay bugger all compared to the profits they're taking. The Herald has midwives are scared. This is the story I was talking about on Tuesday with the situation that the University Hospital Wishaw, where maternity staff are being harassed by visitors when they're being asked to leave. In fact, at one point, one family chased the whole of the maternity staff after the ward, I think, if I read it properly. In fact, they did, which endangered everybody in that ward. Right, where are we? The Times has Truss hints at handouts as officials look to ease bill crisis. Legislate to cap it. Take it to about 2,500 and cap it and tell them it'll no change for the next 2 years. Sturgeon ignored jibe was a snub to Scotland, and that's absolutely correct. It's no Miss Sturgeon's referendum. It's no the SNP's referendum. It's the people of Scotland's will. And that's what we have to get through to people. We're in people when they talk about Sturgeon's referendum. It has to be pointed out. Sturgeon just floated the idea The people voted for the idea. The National has. We'll win with a comfortable margin. First Minister upbeat on Indy to a fringe event and tells of Truss vote jealousy. And nuclear might does not make right, and Ukraine teaches key lessons. Leslie Riddock. Right, that's what I've got for you today, folks. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. I hope you found it deliberate entertaining. Okay. Now, as I say, Facebook's messing me about. Share it around. Okie dokie. So let's get the usual stuff. Okay. There's a campaign underway. I don't know if you've noticed it. The SNP bad Scotland shite rhetoric coming out of Westminster is being upped, and coming out of the mainstream media is up. We have to counter that on the streets and on social media, especially things like Sturgeon's referendum. When you hear your own people saying that, you have to remind them, no, it's the people of Scotland's choice. Whether you're going to vote yes or no, doesn't matter. The people of Scotland voted for it. That's what has to be put out there. We have to combat the crap in the media. Right, so eyes on the prize. Partisan politics in your pockets. Get out there and win hearts and minds. Okie dokie. Now, support the independent media. Broadcasting Scotland, Independent Live, Indie Live Radio, Caledon Media, Trues Radio, and the national newspaper. Support independent vloggers and bloggers. There is a campaign, underway. If these vloggers and bloggers, by the way, have a crowdfunding, you've got a couple of shekels you can throw into the hat, please do. They do important work. As you know, I only ask you to share and stuff around if you like what I do. It's Thursday, folks. So this afternoon, the Two Davies show will go live at 4 p.m. on a Facebook and YouTube. David, no doubt, will put a splash out about it. Okay, now remember health messaging, folks. Face coverings in closed public spaces, clean hands and surfaces regularly. That's the final two bits of guidance. All right. Only guidance, no law. Right. Now, if you're not feeling well, folks, mask up and social distance. All right. And if you're still testing with NHS lateral flow tests, especially those in the healthcare service and care workers, please submit the results to be keeping an eye on how much of that's out there. All right. Anyway, that's it for today. Say look after each other, look after yourselves, and we'll be back tomorrow to do it all again. All right. Have a nice day.